1 month before the extreme cold apocalypse. I was relaxing in my custom-built safe house, eating hot pot and binge-watching TV shows, laughing as I watched my toxic best friend and her scumbag boyfriend reap what they sowed. In my past life, being a homebody, I had plenty of supplies, enough to survive for at least another month. But because of my so-called best friend's manipulation, I was brutally murdered by that scumbag. In this life, I will make them pay double the price. No, I struggled and woke up in my bed, my chest still aching with phantom pain. After taking a moment to breathe deeply, I picked up my phone and checked the date. It was exactly 1 month ago, the exact time my best friend, Liu Ruyan, was having yet another dramatic breakup with her boyfriend, Mao Bufan. I had really been reborn. The extreme cold apocalypse would arrive in exactly 1 month. In my past life, Liu Ruyan always claimed they were done for good. But every time Mao Bufan whispered a few sweet nothings, she would happily run back to him, making me look like the bad guy for interfering. This time, I absolutely won't care if they live or die. Without delay, I got up and went to the bathroom to take a shower. Just as I was brainstorming my revenge plan, my phone ringing interrupted my thoughts. If I guessed correctly, it should be Liu Ruyan calling. Right now, she should be in the middle of her breakup. At this exact moment in my past life, I answered her call in a second. Hearing that her boyfriend threatened to smash her head in, I immediately told her to come stay at my place. Thinking back on it, I can't help but laugh at how naive I was. Half an hour later, I finished a long, relaxing shower and stepped out of the bathroom, looking at the 20+ missed calls on my phone. I calmly replied to Liu Ruyan on WeChat, "Sorry, Ruyan, I'm on a business trip. I won't be home for a while." I decided to play dumb. Jing Jing. Why are you on a trip right now? Mao Bufan and I had a huge fight. He threatened to smash my head in. Can I please come stay at your place? I looked at the screen and smiled disdainfully. She still has the same wishful thinking as the past life. But I won't be soft-hearted this time. Ruyan, I really can't come back right now. Why don't you find a hotel to stay in first? I'll transfer some money to you. I tried to use my usual tone to pacify her. Because until I am fully prepared for the apocalypse, I don't plan on exposing myself. Fortunately, after hearing I'd send money, Liu Ruyan's emotions stabilized significantly. She agreed to find a place nearby. Having dealt with my annoying best friend, I started planning out my supplies to prepare for the end of the world. I am a freelance illustrator, 28 years old this year. My parents passed away in an accident 3 years ago. I usually take commissions from home, which is enough to support myself. Since I rarely leave the house, I already have at least a month's worth of food stockpiled. I don't spend much money normally. And after my parents passed, I developed a strong sense of saving. Working for 5 years, I managed to save 1 million RMB, though part of it was from my parents' inheritance. I'm still way ahead of my peers. However, I know deeply that in the apocalypse, these supplies won't be enough. In the final moments of my past life, there wasn't even a glimpse of the weather warming up. This time, I must prepare much more. I changed clothes and contacted a real estate agent. My current apartment was no longer safe. Liu Ruyan might come knocking anytime. Hello, is this the agency? I need to rent a high-floor apartment with a rooftop access. It needs to be at least 500 square meters. I'll give you 3 days. Money is not an issue. It has to be a new residential complex. With a low occupancy rate, I don't like crowds. Preferably, it should have basic renovations done, not completely bare. I'm not stupid. In an extreme cold apocalypse, you can't live in a single-story house
Every time
or villa. I see protagonists in web novels choosing those kinds of shelters. I always scoff at them. Once the heavy snow falls, all the lower floors will be completely buried. How would you even survive? Choosing the highest floor allows you to install solar panels, killing two birds with one stone. Thankfully, the agent didn't ask too many questions, hearing there was good money to be made. He immediately rushed to find a place for me. After that, I went to the wholesale market, buying massive amounts of goods here wouldn't arouse anyone's suspicion. The weather was comfortable right now. Just the beginning of spring. Not too hot, not too cold. Who could have imagined that in 1 month, a freezing winter would suddenly descend? Thinking about those days, I couldn't help but shiver. I first went to the winter clothing section. Luckily, it was early spring, so many vendors still had unsold winter inventory. I ordered about 50 puffer jackets, thermal underwear, sweaters, snow pants, and thick fleece-lined socks. All heavy-duty, fleece-lined items. The reason I didn't buy hundreds of pieces is that no matter how many clothes you have, you can only wear a few at a time. Having a reasonable stockpile is enough. Then I went to the bedding wholesale section and bought 10 cotton quilts and 10 thick mattress pads, all extra thick. Next, I went to the general merchandise area. I directly bought 300 boxes of heating pads. The more of these, the better. They generate heat without electricity, making them absolute lifesavers in the apocalypse. I also bought several large generators. Shortly after the apocalypse begins, power and internet will be cut off. I could watch downloaded shows, so I wouldn't be bored to death. Thinking of this, I quickly took out my phone, started remote control of my PC, and began catching the top 150 classic movies. After tweaking that for a bit, I continued my shopping spree. Boss, I'll take 500 boxes each of wet wipes and tissues. Thank you, young lady. What kind of big business are you starting? Seeing me buy so recklessly, the boss was a bit puzzled. Oh, I'm preparing to open a store. I didn't elaborate. Just brushed him off with a generic excuse. I also need 100 towels, 50 buckets, 50 wash basins, 50 boxes of alcohol lamps, 50 aluminum pots, and a ton of batteries. I rattled off my entire list in one breath. The boss couldn't even calculate fast enough. Boss, get everything ready first. I'll call you later to arrange for delivery. Okay. Your total comes to about 250,000, 30% deposit. You can scan the code here. Seeing me pay so decisively, the boss didn't count his money with a huge grin. After a busy half-day, I remembered I hadn't bought food rations yet. I hurried over to the food section. Looking at the dazzling array of food, I started to feel hungry myself. I grabbed 500 boxes of self-heating rice meals, self-heating hot pots, 100 boxes of instant noodles, 300 boxes of bread, 500 boxes of 5 liters mineral water, 300 boxes of 500 milliliters mineral water, and various kinds of snacks. I picked out 300 boxes in total, along with 400 boxes of frozen food. Once it snows, I won't have to worry about freezer space. Buying all this, I suddenly realized my requested apartment might not fit all these supplies. I quickly called the real estate agent again and raised my requirements. I asked for much more space, preferably an entire floor that I could rent out. 3 days later, the agent punctually called me back. I quickly went to the residential complex he introduced. The location was quite remote, with no entertainment venues nearby. It perfectly fit my needs. In the apocalypse, places with many people breed more trouble. Following the agent to the top floor, the hallway was very quiet. It seemed the occupancy rate really was low. The building had 25 floors in total. Not considered a very tall building, which I felt was acceptable. It had 2 elevators and 4 apartments per floor. The elevator required a keycard to come up. This was a great feature. Random people wouldn't be able to come up unless they took the stairs. I inspected each apartment one by one. The 2 middle units were slightly smaller, about 500 square meters combined. The 2 corner units were super spacious. I completely didn't have to worry about storing my supplies anymore. I was very satisfied and immediately signed the lease. I paid 3 months' rent upfront in one go. After sending the agent away, I quickly examined the structure of the 4 apartments in detail. I decided to contact contractors tomorrow for renovations. Over the next few days, I constantly communicated with the workers, because I promised them double the standard pay. They worked overtime to modify the apartments for me. They knocked down the walls, connecting all 4 units. Doors and windows were reinforced and thickened. I even used triple pane glass for the windows and installed double security doors. Every exposed wall and floor inside was lined with high-grade insulating foam materials. In the far left corner unit, a chimney and fireplace were installed against the wall. Solar panels were set up on the rooftop. I also deliberately kept 2 buckets of paint. Once the workers left, I painted the outside of my main door completely white, and also painted the emergency stairwell door white. By the time all the interior renovations were rushed to completion, there were only 15 days left until the apocalypse. I didn't dare waste any time. I called the wholesale market to arrange delivery for the next day. Transporting all these supplies would probably take a full 10 days. I specifically instructed the boss to deliver in the middle of the night, lying that I hadn't quit my day job yet. Luckily, Liu Ruyan had made up with Bufin again during these past few days and didn't bother me. Otherwise, it would have been hard to find an excuse to brush her off. After all the supplies were stored away, it was surprisingly a bit cramped. I only had 2 small rooms left to move around in. But it didn't matter. It gave me an overwhelming sense of security. In the remaining 5 days, I went out to buy some toys, building blocks, cross-stitch kits, anything to help kill time. I bought several security cameras, 2 drones, and 2 wired radios. I installed the cameras at my old apartment. Then I went to a lumberyard and acquired a batch of firewood. In another room, I downloaded every video I possibly could and prepared plenty of offline games. Finally, under the excuse of losing my keys, I took all the spare elevator keycards and master keys from property management. With only 1 day left, they wouldn't have time to make copies. After returning home, I lay on the bed in my small room, glanced at the time on my watch and slowly drifted off to sleep. I was woken up by my phone's notification sounds. My messages were already blowing up. Snowing in April was something no one could believe. I watched the endless stream of news online, then walked to the window and looked outside. There was already a thin layer of snow on the ground. People outside didn't seem afraid at all. Some were even live streaming the snow. On the first day, the temperature wasn't too low yet, so people could still go out to hoard supplies. But around this time tomorrow, the temperature will drop drastically. After that, it will plummet every day. By the 7th day, it will be below -50 degrees Celsius. I decided to ignore the outside world, drew the curtains, brewed myself a cup of coffee, and started leisurely reading a novel. Early the next morning, as soon as I turned on my phone, I was bombarded by 99+ messages in the homeowners group chat. People in the chat were talking about everything. Some were planning to go out and play in the snow. Others were worried about the dropping temperatures. I had no intention of engaging with them. I changed my group nickname to a random apartment number in another building, changed my avatar, and stayed a silent observer. Just as I was about to exit and check the trending news, a new message popped up. I looked and saw it was Liu Ruyan. Looking at the timeline, it was indeed time for her to look for me. Jingjing, I really broke up with him this time. I have nowhere else to go. Please take me in. Didn't you guys make up a few days ago? He lied to me. He's still contacting other women behind my back. Jingjing, I'm your best friend. You have to help me. The weather is so cold these days. Could you really bear to watch me freeze to death on the street? I pretended to hesitate. All right. But I'm still not home. I know your passcode. I can let myself in. It'll save you from spending money on a hotel for me. I'll wait for you to come home. I knew she had calculated this all along. But everything was going exactly according to my plan. If I remembered correctly, around the 5th day, her boyfriend would come knocking for revenge. I still couldn't forget the moment she locked me out to take the knife for her. How incredibly stupid I was. I shook my head, throwing off the painful memories, and opened the trending news. Today's headlines were still about the incoming cold wave, urging citizens to prepare. I felt a bit hungry, so I went to the kitchen, grabbed some frozen meat and vegetables, opened a hot pot base, and started cooking hot pot. Eating hot pot in the early days of the apocalypse isn't too extravagant. Besides, I'm on the top floor. The smell quickly disperses into the air. I ate boldly, watching my shows at the same time. Life was so comfortable. Day 3 of the apocalypse. Outside the window was still a vast expanse of white. I estimated the outdoor temperature was around -90 degrees Celsius. I opened my phone to check the security cameras. Liu Ruyan had already arrived at my old apartment. Her luggage was casually thrown in the living room, and she was lying on the sofa eating snacks, probably from her own stash. Jingjing. I've arrived at your place. Okay. I'm relieved you made it safely. I locked my phone. I took my binoculars, walked to the window, and started observing. There were very few pedestrians on the road now. Only 1 or 2 people carrying supplies in their hands. Most people were probably staying home with their heaters on. After all, this wasn't the north where it's cold year-round, so people here couldn't withstand the freezing temperatures. I scanned the area randomly with my binoculars, and suddenly noticed a building opposite mine. A few apartments there had their curtains tightly drawn, airtight and completely concealed. I silently took note of them, planning to observe them more closely later. After busying myself for half the day, I casually made some fried chicken. It smelled amazing. I specifically took photos of my meals every day and posted them online, but set them to only me. Once the weather warms up, I'll make them public to gain some followers. Day 4 of the apocalypse. I woke up late when the sun would normally be high, although there was no sun to be seen outside. Today, I saw on the camera that Liu Ruyan was on the phone with someone. She looked terrified. It was probably Mao Bufan threatening her. I just treated it as a show and ignored it. Thinking to myself, this is the karma they deserve. I checked the trending news. Almost all the headlines had turned into red alerts for extreme low temperatures. No one was joking around in the community group chat anymore. Mostly, people were voicing their worries or remaining dead silent. I finally turned on the heater in my room. I remembered that for the first half-month, air conditioners could still function, thanks to the heavy insulation materials from the renovation. I hadn't needed to turn it on the first few days, but today, it was indeed getting a bit chilly. Day 5 of the apocalypse. Today was the day for a good show. I got up and turned on the camera feed. I saw Liu Ruyan hiding something. She went into the kitchen and came out a moment later with a kitchen knife in her hand. So she wanted to defend herself. I shook my head. Guessing there was still some time, I set my phone aside, fried an egg for myself, poured a glass of orange juice, and began to enjoy my breakfast. While I was eating, a WeChat notification popped up. Jing jing. My boyfriend is smashing the door. What do I do? I'm so scared. I didn't rush to reply. I opened my phone to check the camera. Indeed, I could hear loud banging on the door. Liu Ruyan was already holding the kitchen knife, getting into a defensive stance. Block the door with something heavy first. I'll call the police right now, I replied to her. Looking back at the camera, she was actually very obedient this time, and started moving the shoe cabinet to block the door. I did make a token call to the police, since we were friends after all. Minutes ticked by. The banging stopped. The camera's audio quality wasn't great, but I could faintly hear them talking through the door. About 10 minutes later, Liu Ruyan actually moved the shoe cabinet away and opened the front door. I was utterly dumbfounded by her actions. Did this woman have a death wish? I hesitantly sent her a WeChat message. How is it? It's fine now. Jing jing, can I let my boyfriend stay here too? My brain buzzed for a moment. Didn't he want to kill you? He only acted that way because he loves me too much. He braved the cold just to find me. I misunderstood him. We'll just stay for a few days. Once the weather warms up, we'll go home. I also called the police to cancel the report. She immediately helped Mao Bufan inside. I really couldn't bear to watch any longer. It was too infuriating. I turned off the camera. Day 10 of the apocalypse. During this time, the weather had become increasingly freezing. Phone signals were becoming intermittent. I even started to worry if I'd be able to witness that pair getting their karma. I opened a self-heating rice bowl for myself and checked the camera. I saw the coffee table in the living room was a total mess. It looked like Mao Bufan and Liu Ruyan had been rationing the snacks she hoarded earlier to barely survive. Right now, they were clearly at their wits' end. I secretly rejoiced. You could say hatred had blinded my conscience. After all, in my last life, my conscience rewarded me with a knife to the gut. Jing jing. Is there any food left at home? Are you far from home? Could you find some food for us? Mao Bufan said. If I don't get any food, he's going to kill me and eat me. Save me. I stared at the phone in silence for a long time. Mao Bufan was indeed an animal. But I had no intention of replying to Liu Ruyan. I just blamed it on the bad signal. I turned around, bagged my instant noodle trash, lay in bed, and continued watching TV. Time was easily killed this way. I fell into a deep sleep. When I woke up, it was already around m. staring into the pitch-black room. It felt colder than before. I had to get up and fetch a heating pad. The heating pads were stored near the front door. Just as I walked to the door, I suddenly heard noises outside. My heart skipped a beat, sensing danger. I immediately became highly alert. I pressed my ear against the door. Did someone manage to come up here? Were they up to no good? How did they get up? Hadn't I blocked the stairwell? About 20 minutes passed. The hallway went quiet again. I opened the peephole cover and peeked outside. I didn't see anything. Feeling completely baffled, I grabbed the heating pad. I was too scared to go back to sleep, so I just stayed up watching TV, keeping one earphone out to monitor any sounds outside. Fortunately, there were no more incidents. Day 15 of the apocalypse. Because of the noise a few days ago, I hadn't slept well lately. I cooked myself another hot pot to cheer up, but didn't dare turn on the exhaust fan. I opened the window to check outside. It was still an endless sea of white. Except, it seemed the snow had already buried the first floor. It proved lower floors were a death trap. I checked my phone again. It could no longer load any new messages. Only previously cached chats were visible. I understood what that meant. It's nearly -50 degrees Celsius now. The cell towers were likely frozen completely. Swiping the screen, I opened the camera app. The camera had local saved recordings. I saw the living room in total chaos, and two bodies lying on the floor. It looked like they had fallen asleep. My revenge was complete. I felt incredibly satisfied, yet slightly hollow. But I knew they brought this entirely upon themselves. I turned around and grabbed a bottle of Coke, drinking it deeply to celebrate. Then I went to sleep. Dozens of days passed. Nothing major happened, and there were no more strange noises at my door. I just assumed it was mice from before. The internet was completely cut off. I lost all contact with the outside world. Every day, I could only use my binoculars to check the situation outside. The snow had buried up to the third floor. Human ice sculptures on the streets stood frozen in the biting wind. It was a deeply unsettling sight. It was -100 degrees now. I was wrapped in layers of thick clothes, with 7 or 8 heating pads stuck inside. It still wasn't warm enough, but I could barely manage to survive. Through my binoculars, I noticed an apartment in the opposite building had opened their curtains. Only an old lady was there, occasionally sitting quietly by the window. I didn't see anyone else. Day 70 of the apocalypse. I suddenly heard chaotic noises outside. I quickly walked to the window, picked up my binoculars and scanned the area. I saw that the apartment opposite mine, which had kept its curtains shut, was now engulfed in flames. This wasn't good. There was a fire. I didn't know what started it, but in these chaotic times, arson and looting were common occurrences. It wasn't my place to interfere. I could only pray for them silently. For the past few days, the temperature hadn't dropped further. It stabilized around -100 degrees. I felt very fortunate. If it got any colder, even I might not survive. Day 90 of the apocalypse. I noticed the old lady was still occasionally sitting by her window. I couldn't help but feel surprised. Did she also hoard a lot of supplies, keeping her curtains open like that? Wasn't she afraid of robbers knocking on her door? That fire the other day still left a lingering fear in my heart. I felt a bit sympathetic. Perhaps it was just too lonely in this apocalypse. The longer it went on, the more dead the world seemed. I went up to the rooftop and launched a drone towards the opposite building. I attached some food to it and wrote a note warning her to be careful. I flew it to the old lady's window. She was about 10 floors below me. To be safe, I had the drone circle the area a couple of times before returning, just to conceal my actual location, so I wouldn't be exposed. When the drone flew back, I immediately checked the message the old lady sent back. It turned out she was an empty nester. Because she was old and rarely went out, she always kept a lot of food at home. She often sat by the window, hoping to see if rescue teams were coming. Also, given her old age, she figured robbers wouldn't think she had anything worth taking. But thanks to my warning, she said she would be more cautious from now on, and thanked me for the gift. I couldn't help but think of my own parents. I turned around and went back to my room. The days became more and more monotonous. I just ate, drank, and slept at home, even gaining a bit of weight. Day 180 of the apocalypse. The temperature finally started showing signs of warming up by the end of the second year. The temperature gradually returned to normal. The sun hung high in the sky, and the snow began to melt. I eagerly joined in the post-disaster reconstruction. Interestingly enough, while cleaning up my home, I checked near the front door, behind the shoe cabinet. Deep in the corner where I stored my trash, I found a little cat, curled up, shivering. It seems that during the early days of the apocalypse, this was the source of the noise I heard. I don't know how it survived these years of freezing cold. Did it survive by eating the food scraps from my trash? I adopted it and named it Lucky. Taking her with me, I headed towards a better future.